And more often than not, Neil, what the guys will say is, I've thought about it a little bit. I don't really have a plan for the legacy that I'm going to leave. I said, guess what? You're leaving a legacy right now. Whether you want to or not, you're leaving a legacy. Now, is it going to be a legacy that your child thinks they're stupid or something you've passed down or they're not good enough? Or is it going to be a legacy where your child, your son, learns that, hey, what other people think of me, that's not my business. That's not important. It's what I think of myself. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the TPM Show. I am here with one of our amazing coaches, Coach Neil, and today we are going to be talking about a very interesting topic that I think you dads are really going to be interested in. And hey, if you don't have kids, this will also apply to you. Coach Neil is here. We're doing an alpha reset today. So by the time you have watched this, you'll have 10 men walk through that crucible. And if you don't know what the Alpha Reset is, it's our 4-day transformational in-person event. It's one we've been doing for about 8 years now. And the men that go through that will say it's the most transformational experience they've ever had in their life. Neil, thanks for being here.
Thanks for being absolutely. You're absolutely so happy to be here.
Yeah, I love having you at the TPM Ranch. We always have great discussions and a good time.
Indeed, yeah. It's a very special place and brings. I mean, up here in the mountains, nothing better for me.
Me too. Well, we got 10 men arriving this evening, and without giving anything away, we've got a great staff and support team that's here to support them through these next 4 days. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. Just like let's go. Just support these men to break through their whatever's going on for them and hold that space. I'm really excited. Can't wait to be collaborating with you, Doug. It's an absolute honor to be in your space and watch you work and support you and take these men on.
Yeah, feeling's very mutual. We were talking about being here in that space. You were sharing a story about your son and kind of what you were going through, and you were nice enough to offer that up as a topic for us to talk about so other men could relate.
Yeah, I think so. Every time I do work like this and I have to go away, there's always something that pops up during my week before, and it's a lot of like logistical stuff, mechanics. And this particular event happens to fall on the same week my son is in the Sierras in Mammoth. For the first time ever, he is away from me for more than a week without communication. Like that's never happened. I call him every day. We talk all the time. He calls me all the time on his iWatch that I gave him for Christmas. And so yesterday morning at 5 a.m., he gets. We get to meet up at his school with his teacher and 9 other kids and a couple of staff to travel to Mammoth and like an 8-hour drive. And it dawned on me in those moments that he's going to be away. That I won't actually get to see him. And he's 11 years old. And of course, I'm going to be busy up here supporting men. So I'm kind of checked out in a way, but the ironies is like I will be away doing my thing too in the mountains. But the real thing was for me was there was this void suddenly crept in. And I'm a single dad. And I have a great relationship with his mom. But I'm single. And it's like in a few years, he's not going to be around. And it really hit me. And it's like, wow, I love this boy, but he's not going to be. And it was in the moment where he was in the truck and he saw me and he said, I'm happy you're here, Dad. But there was this, he was still connected to the guys in the truck. He was so in his element. Yeah. And it was like, oh, he's almost like he's pulling away in a way. And it was like, and it's his rite of passage. It was the first time ever away camping in this environment without mom or dad around. Yeah. So I was thinking about the things that, what's he going to be going through? And I'm not there to pick up the pieces. And I'm not a helicopter parent, as a lot of people call themselves, whatever. But I'm very much about him tripping and falling and having his own experience. But it was like, I'm just not there. And that was really hit home for me and brought up some really alone memories. I'm not lonely, but feeling alone.
Yeah.
So
I can see that. I mean, my son, 8 years old, I'm starting to see a little bit of that as well, as far as the pulling away and the pull of friendship, right? With his friends. He loves being around dad, but when his best friend shows up, he's all about hanging out with his buddy, you know? which is magical. And at the same time, the writing is on the wall that this little boy is going to become a man, and what do we get to do to guide him? What do I get to do to guide my son? And I was thinking about this yesterday. I was talking to you. I couldn't fall asleep. And I was thinking about is the way that I'm showing up. We were at a pool. It was a large pool party overlooking the mountains. It's at a resort. So there's lots of people running around and doing their thing. And I thought, is the man that's showing up, the man I'm showing up at, am I representing the man I want him to become? And what a great litmus test, right? For us as fathers to go through.
God, it's just a great question. I heard that the other day when somebody said, I'm in this marriage, and he said he was going through he was in a breakdown, and he said, am I going to walk away from this marriage? But first the question is, am I going to show up? Have I shown up as the father and as the husband that I 100% could be the legitimate greatest husband and father? And he categorically said no.
Yeah. I had the same thing happen to me. I talk this story all the time. I was down in your neck in the woods. I was down in the San Diego area. Aaron and I were going through our stuff. We were getting ready to separate, divorce. That's the route we were going. Lucky enough, I had a client that had a beach house. So, not a bad place to end up, right? If you're taking some reflection. And I was actually running on the beach. And this is actually where Corey, one of our guys, he has a place right there. But I was running on the beach, and you know how in San Diego, in that area, where the mist of the waves crash hits you as you're going for a run, just that salty air.
Oh, yeah.
And I asked myself, have I been the best? Because it was all her fault, by the way.
Oh, okay, right.
In my head, if my wife Erin would have if she just realized how great I am, I run a business, I'm doing all these great things. If she would just get on board, everybody else is. How could she not see this, right? And so I'm running on the beach, and I asked myself this question: have I been the best husband I could be for just 30 days? Small period of time, right? 30 days. Not even a second goes by, and I hear this loud no in my head, almost like it came from the universe, God, or something. And it was one of those reactive thoughts, this no, that was so powerful. It kind of dawned on me, wait a minute, Doug. The TPM wasn't around back then. There wasn't a lot for men to go through, and it was men are from Mars, right?
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot that related to me, that spoke to me as a man. And then I started thinking, oh crap, if I haven't been the best husband, I could be the best father, but that time the best husband, then why am I blaming her? If I haven't even shown up for 30 days consistently, how can I point the finger at the other side of the street?
Yeah. Isn't it wonderful when you have a moment that you decided to take responsibility and say, and have the, that epiphany in such a way, wait a minute, what is not working? And wherever you go, there you are, right? That whole expression is oh yeah, well, how you do one thing, you do everything.
Yes.
And it's it's interesting because a lot of the guys will talk about this when they go, well, I go to work and I do this. And I said, but how does the people you work with, how do they feel about you?
Yeah.
Have you asked them that?
Yes.
And I went, oh, I said, business might be thriving, but is it really? I said, you might be bringing in the dollars, but what could you be bringing in?
Yeah. Why'd you start business in the first place?
It's what's your relationship to the business? What's your relationship to the people in your life, the customers? How are you showing up for them?
Yeah.
And so that to have that mirror put up in front of you, which is, that mirror to me was put up in front of me in the last 2 days. And how I get to show up, not just for Ashton, but for my ex-wife, who I have a good, she is probably the one person I see more often than anybody, the adult.
Yeah.
And she is my developmental angel after all, as much as that pains me sometimes, because if we didn't have children together, would I ever see her again? I'm this is the universe giving me her for the rest of my son's life and our lives together, because I loved her and I still love her as a human being. She was in my life for a reason, and I want to make sure that I become the greatest person. And she's only showing me something, we had a situation the day before. Ashton and I flew out here, and it was challenging to be away from it. I still was the wolf, and I held space for her, and she was calm. And the evening came around, and she was like, she could tell what she had done wasn't right, and she came back and she was being nice. She was being kind and generous, and I'll cook dinner for this, and I'm like, okay, she's trying to make up for what she said. And I didn't say anything. I just was neutral and I carried on. But it was interesting what you were speaking about, because I have another gentleman that I was coaching that was blaming his wife for an affair she'd had, which was, to me, I'm like, okay. And we had some back and forth over the last 4 or 5 weeks where he was just being a victim, complaining to his friends. And I'm like, okay. And then I suddenly had this epiphany myself. It's like, wait a minute. Is he looking at himself, or is he looking at her? It's like, she caused this. I can't think about anything else. I'm like, she's been blah, blah, blah with another guy. And I was like, wait a minute. I said, the only reason that she is the way she is because of you.
Yeah.
And I said, everything she's done is the actions of who you have been. Are you willing to take responsibility for that?
Yeah, like you said, it's mirroring, right? People respond to us. So people that, a lot of guys don't like hearing this, I don't think, because they don't accept responsibility for it. But people treat us the way that we allow them to treat us, the way that we've trained them to treat us. And what I mean by that, for the men listening to this that haven't maybe done the work that you have, is think about it when you go home to your family. I don't care if you're 30, 40, 50, 60, you fall back into roles, right? Maybe you have an older brother, sister, younger brother, sister, and you go right back into the roles of where you left off, right? And the pecking order and the jokes, and because you've trained them to treat you a certain way or to know you a certain way, and vice versa.
Yes.
And when you switch that, it can be very scary for some people. Like, wait a minute, this isn't safe. I know Neil to be this guy, and now Neil's showing up as a different man. We sell a lot of them in the program. We'll have guys that'll come through the program, the activation method that you coach as well, Neil. And some of those guys will change their marriages in the first week because all of a sudden they start showing up differently, and the woman recognizes it.
Yes.
Other men will meet even more resistance because all of a sudden they're showing up the way their wife sees the power within them, really is what it is.
Yeah.
And she's like, is this real? Is this real? And she'll push. And in my situation, the embarrassing part about my story isn't the fact that I was running on the beach and this voice comes back and says no. The embarrassing part of that story is I tried for 30 days and I failed. Oh. I couldn't be that guy for 30 days consistently. The first time, right?
Yeah. What did that tell you?
What did that tell me? That told me I had a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
And it was up to me. And it also told me I was being a victim because I was blaming her. I gave my power up to my wife, right? And at the time, I was kind of a macho guy. I was boxing. I was doing these things, these macho. But to call myself a victim was almost, it devastated me. But if I'm going to be real with myself, I was a victim, Neil. I was blaming her for what wasn't working in my life, wasn't working in our marriage. But here I am. I can't show up as this guy for 30 days. Come on, man. That's me. I go, okay, it's time to look at my side of the street or look in the mirror and see what it says.
And did that bring a sense of peace? Because, I feel like, even my failed marriage is like, I'd done a lot of work up until that point when my marriage was failing.
Yeah.
But there's so much information out there, but it's how it's presented. And I'd done a lot of work on relationships, but sometimes you just can't see your own blind spots. And it's like, and I had a coach, and it's like, this is where and I remember a coach saying, let go of the drama, let go of the triggers that you feel when your wife is pointing the finger or testing us.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. And when I stopped that, the actual divorce went through seamlessly. But I'm like, if I'd done that before that, what would have happened?
Yeah, 100%. It was very freeing. It gave me control, right? Because now I can see the problem. Now I can fix the problem. The problem happened to be the person sitting in this chair now, right? And I'd done, like yourself, a ton of personal development. Never really on relationships. I was never taught that. I've read some books.
Right.
I did that before we got married, and listened to audiobooks or what have you, talked about things. But when you're in the mud and you're in the thick of it, that's where the rubber meets the road. And so many people just are afraid to do the work. They're scared to actually, I mean, you know this as well because you're inside the movement, but we might have 4,000 guys this month inquire about the activation method, right?
Yeah.
The program for relationships.
Yeah.
Of those 4,000 men that inquire, very few have the cojones to actually get on a call with an advisor. Because what does that mean? What does that mean about me if I'm actually telling somebody my marriage isn't working? And I can tell you, as you know, you know this as well as I do, the men that actually step through the door and do the work, I mean, those are the 1% of the 1%. Those are guys that start to change their lives.
And I think that the 1%, as I say it to all the guys every week, I said, you are in the top echelons of life now.
Yes. Yeah.
You are, and if your wife, just say your wife does want to leave you, she's going to go to a guy that's in the 99% that don't do this work, and they're going to get exactly what they didn't want with somebody else.
Yeah. I mean, I was at the pool just the other day, like I was saying, and I was hanging out with a lot of the wives. And most of their husbands were sitting in the lawn chairs beside the pool, having drinks. And I can't tell you how many times I get these wives asking me, Doug, how do I get him in one of your programs? How do we get him to actually, to take action? And they love their husbands. They're not planning on leaving.
No.
They're in good relationships. But they want so much better for him. Because it also reflects on their kids. I'm curious. I'm going to change subjects a second if I can. I'm curious. You said that when you looked at the mirror, the metaphorical mirror, that was very telling. What message did you get?
Where were I not feeling worthy that this relationship is worthy of you? And that was... And I think it also transpires in being a dad. Is like, am I worthy enough to be the dad? Like my son said to me the other day, as dad, I wish sometimes you could just be 11, right? Like, okay, that gave me a lot of great feedback of I'm showing up. He loves being around me. He wants to be around
100%. What a great compliment.
But not just to be his friend. I've got to be his dad. And I always coach. I say I can be your coach now. I can be your dad. But it's the worthiness of that relationship with my wife. And now I coach my wife with her boyfriend. And the ironies are extraordinary. And I love the fact that when there's a massive breakdown like that, there's a great breakthrough for both of us. And now I have this worthiness of like, I feel so powerful with my wife.
I want to buy you a gift. Look, if your marriage is struggling, and let's be real, every marriage struggles at some point. But if yours is struggling where you've lost that love, admiration, respect, I want to help you. I want to buy you a copy of the book that I wrote, A Man's Guide on How to Save Your Marriage Without Talking About It. In here, I've distilled over 8 years of programs that we've developed at TPM to help men just like you save their marriages without talking about it. There's no fluff, no BS. It's an action plan that you can start using today to actually save your marriage and bring that love and respect back into your family, back into your house. You deserve it. Look, all I ask is you pay the postage, you pay the shipping, I'll buy the book for you. That way you can take massive action today. Click the link or find it in the bio and get your copy now.
Having this other tool in my toolbox, which is from the activation method, the simplest things of just listening and listening and listening some more and just really validating this person that I love is the mother of my son, and listening to her when she's really in a tough spot with her boyfriend and noticing when she's running away. And I'm like, he's just a mirror.
Yeah.
Well, I said, notice what you're doing. I said, you did the same for me. She goes, did I? Yes. And I said, it's okay. And I think it was interesting what you were speaking into was allowing that when I'm in a difficult situation, instead of making up a story that it's a confrontation, it's just another it's just another conversation, not a confrontation.
Yeah.
And one of the TAM guys I was coaching said that the other day. I went, absolutely, it's just a conversation.
Yep.
But we're afraid to say something because we have limitations of our own. I said, no, I say, if you're attached to your limitations, you get to keep your limitations.
Yes, absolutely.
And so what is it that you truly, truly desire from your relationship that you're scared of? And we can unpack that. So that mirror for me was like my worthiness.
Well, that brings up for me in that I'm picturing some of the guys listening to this right now. Okay, well, my wife, she always says this, that, or the other about me. And again, at the pool, it's so funny when I hang out with these families because they're great, the kind of litmus test. You see this all playing out. And the line I always like to use, Neil, is if I called you purple, how triggered are you? You're not, right? Because you don't believe it yourself.
Right.
And what we get to know as men is when somebody, our wives in particular, says something to us about us that we get upset at, it's because part of us believes that she's right. And because otherwise, imagine your wife yelling at you, guys, listen to this, you're purple, you're purple. You'd be like, you are ridiculous. I'm not purple at all.
Right.
But if she says you're a bad husband, you're a bad father, you're bad in bed, you're a bad provider, if you believe that to be true about yourself, and especially if you've given her so much power over you about who you are as a human, that's when it gets devastating. And that's when guys go into DEAR mode, which is an acronym, as you know, defend, excuse, explain, and react. And so it's that mirror that guys see, like, hey, if my wife says something to me that upsets me, I get to take a breath and go, okay, what about what she said am I holding on to or believing to be true? Right? Is it a sense of worthiness? Is it am I not showing up well? One area like yourself that I think I do really well is the father thing, right? Yeah. And so if someone says, Doug, you're a bad father, I just go, whatever.
Yeah.
Dude, I got that one covered, man. Right. Am I perfect? No, not at all.
And I think that's where the humility comes in, is like, and this, I believe, my theory is, if you're a single child, then that can be different. But when you have siblings growing up, there's this pecking order, and it's like there's the older brother, there's a younger sister, or whatever, but there's this natural form of only the strongest survive, and the way that we do that is through pointing the finger and calling out, and it's like, you're doing this, you shouldn't do that, or you did something wrong in school. Like for me, it was like I was in college, I was in school, in high school, and I had a really bad result. And from that bad result, my brothers, they were like a red flag to a bull. They just went after me and after me for years, and it wasn't until later that I found out I had dyslexia. Okay. So I was like, oh, and now dyslexia is sexier, as they found out. But at the time, the teachers didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
So he's not good enough, and they pushed me aside. So guess what? I have this, I'm not smart enough, ego conversation. So then you take that into parenthood or to marriage, and the wife points the finger. Guess what? You're like, wait a minute. It's like, so you are triggered.
Yeah, confirmation of like, oh, and my son said to me the other day, and he was being a victim, and I said, look, no, and he said things like, oh, mom did this, she makes me feel this, and I said, no one can, make you feel anything without your permission. And then we had another conversation playing wiffle ball out in the back garden, and he said, Dad, but why do you not care what people say about you? I said, because that's on them. That's their business. I said, would it help for me to worry about it? And I said, it's exhausting, isn't it, when you think about that? And I said, if it's up to them, as long as I'm from love and kindness and generosity and giving, what's not to like about me, love about me? I was like, I know that I'm a good guy. Yeah.
And if somebody wants to point the finger, something's going on with them. And he was like, and he started to understand that. I said, so I don't care what people think about me, as long as I'm a good guy. And if I'm being an asshole, I'll put my hand up.
Yeah.
It's interesting what you said about the pool, which is, I was talking to one of the guys in my group that's, he's in an Alcoholics Anonymous group, and there was 10 other guys in there with their wives. They got together of the group. And the wives were the sober ones in the beginning. And they had this survey, and they found out that 10 out of 10 men, the ones that didn't show up and the ones that were being the victim, and they wish their men would just show up and be the man and lead, and none of them were doing it. And it was a real epiphany for this guy. It was like, oh my God, this is in every single man.
Yeah, 100%.
And all the wives said the same thing, every single one of them.
Yeah. I mean, we joke around within TPM because we get our advisors and our sales team and everybody else, they get emails and messages all the time for single women saying, hey, where do I find one of these guys? Or guys, I get this all the time too from men who go through the program, right? Go into the Brotherhood, which is our 1-year mastermind group, and they have their wives have single friends, and they're like, hey, he's changed. He's accelerated. So guys in the Brotherhood, right? They're consistently working on all 5 territories: self, health, wealth, relationships, and business. So it's not just the relationship has been repaired. And women talk, right? Oh my gosh, do they talk? And owning a gym myself and just being able to hear all the conversations, and now even with my wife and her friends. Again, I'm sitting in the pool. I'm in the pool with the women, where the guys are sitting down. And what do you think they're talking about? They're talking about their husbands. And I'm just kind of laughing, sitting in the pool, just relaxing.
And you're connecting with the women, by the way.
Oh, heck
while
yeah.
other guys are over there.
Come on, it's a smarter play. Yeah, and you hear that all the time. And the women are dying for men to step up and lead. And it doesn't mean being a jerk. A lot of guys misunderstand. And so it was Dr. Robert Glover's book, No More Mr. Nice Guy. I mentioned that a lot in this show. It's because it's such a seminal book. I remember when I first read that, it was after TPM. And I went, ooh, that was me. I was the guy who was trying to be a nicer guy in order to get favor from my wife, rather than doing what she really needed, was owning my own stuff, taking care of my shit on my side of the street, and stepping up just like I was doing in every other area. For some reason in that area, I backed down. I thought I was being a better man by being more submissive. Okay, I'll just bite my tongue, stiff upper lip.
Right.
Whatever it is.
And what have you heard? What women want is for you to they challenge us to step up.
Yes. And until men do that and actually take action, they'll always be one of the 99%. And women are like, oh my gosh, this is not what I'm looking for. You said one other thing that I want to touch on that I thought's really interesting. You're talking about your son, and I love the way you talk about your son, by the way. You can tell there's so much love and care there. Something that I'll tell the guys all the time is, how many of you guys, what's your legacy plan? So in November at the Brotherhood event, we're doing an event in the Sonoma County area, wine country. It's all going to be about legacy. And more often than not, Neil, what the guys will say is, I've thought about it a little bit. I don't really have a plan for the legacy that I'm going to leave. I said, guess what? You're leaving a legacy right now. Whether you want to or not, you're leaving a legacy. Now, is it going to be a legacy that your child thinks they're stupid or something you've passed down or they're not good enough? Or is it going to be a legacy where your child, your son, learns that, hey, what other people think of me, that's not my business. That's not important. It's what I think of myself. Those are 2 different paths, completely different paths.
Yeah, totally different paths. And I know that if something's landing with my son, because he's very vocal, and it's kind of a tradition in the Talbot family, my family, my mother said this to us once, where I got 2 brothers and my dad's standing in, all in the kitchen. She turns around and she looks at me, well, one thing about the Talbots is they believe in themselves. And it's to a point it can be quite frustrating. And she would roll her eyes and I would pick them up and roll them back. But and my son, I notice is that he's got a strong conviction, and his mum does too. Yeah. But we were in the car the other day and he turned to me and he just said, Dad, it's okay to cry. And I'm like, and because I was crying about something, I just lost a friend. And I just looked at him and I went, yeah, it really is, isn't it? And I said, and that's what you are. I said, you cry all the time because you get hurt. You're allowed to feel what you're feeling. And if there's a legacy I want to leave, it would be that my son gets to feel everything, his pain, his joy, and really connect to that and connect to his soul in a way that people see him for truly being that vulnerable man that he is, and allowing himself to own his truth, and the women in his life that he gets to eventually meet and have in his life, he gets to stand for that and stand for her in a powerful way, to own his voice, which he is doing on a regular basis because he calls me all the time. And when I'm not with him, expressing his anger and allowing him to feel the anger. And I speak to him about that. So that's the legacy, is allowing him to feel whatever he's feeling in the moment, even with mum in a loving way. And I said, she's trying to support you, but you get to feel what you're feeling with her. And mum will come into the conversation, and I'm like, I hear what you're saying. And I said, and then we have this open corridor or place for us to actually connect in such a deep way that he feels seen, he feels heard, as well as mum does too. And so that's the legacy I want to leave is the man that he gets to feel what he's feeling and not have it pushed away or stuffed down or dismissed as I had as a child. And I don't think my parents did it deliberately, but that's what we're here for, is to break the domino effect of
100%.
what wasn't working. There's a lot that does work, but there's things that don't. And that's one of them, is dismissing feelings. Mm-hmm. And there's the socialization of children that we're breaking the cycle of. Where you can't feel, and it could be something as simple as like, what do we do when a child is crying? And we pick up and we go, shh, it's okay. And it's like, in some ways, you look at a child's face, they look at you quizzically. It was like, I can't feel this. I'm not allowed to feel this. Or a kid hurts their knee and you're like, oh, it's okay. You're going to be okay. And it's like, well, hang on a minute, this hurts. I want to feel this. This hurts. Yeah. I want my son to feel that. And so I let him feel it. And I said, I know it hurts, buddy. Yeah. It's okay. You're going to get through it, and just allow yourself to feel it. What's coming up for you? And so that's the part that I feel the legacy I want to leave.
I love that. I can tell you, as a child of divorced parents, my parents divorced when I was 5, separated when I was 4. I remember the comments my parents said about each other. I remember which set of parents did the work to repair and which ones didn't. Your kids know, and I'm saying this not only for you, but as a compliment to you, because what do you call your ex-wife? Your
developmental angel.
Your developmental angel. I love that. What a great way of the paradigm, switching it. Right?
Well, I want to where that comes from, and it came from my dear friend who passed away in January. But it was if you are labeling somebody, my wife's a narcissist, whatever it is, my husband's a whatever. You are still being the victim of that relationship.
Yep.
And the moment this woman, my dear friend said, Margaret, she said, she's your developmental angel. I'm like, oh, yes. They just landed. And of course she is.
Yeah.
Because everybody's in my life for my growth.
Yeah. She's
She's only showing you what's working and not working in your life.
Yeah.
And so when she comes at you going, and she's saying when she's saying, dude, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? She's your accountability buddy. She's the girl in your life to say, I'm waiting for you to show up, is what she's saying. Mm-hmm. And when you find that in your heart to say, thank you for showing me what's not working. Thank you for seeing my blind spot, because that's what she's there for.
Yeah.
And then you'll rise together. The rising tide lifts all boats.
So well said. I love that. Well, I just want to thank you for the work you do for the movement, for the men inside and out, the work you're doing with your son. You're a joy to be around, and thank you for changing lives.
Thank you. Thank you, Doug. It's an absolute honor to be here and support you in this endeavor.
Yes.
I love it. Thank you.
Gentlemen, as I always say, in the moment of insight, take massive action. Coach Neil's just dropped a lot of knowledge bombshells on you guys here today. This is definitely going to be one you're going to want to listen to 2, 3, 4 times. Save it. If anything, write down that last couple sentences, right? About your wife. Is she triggering you, right? If she is that really just exposing something you get to work on? Think of it as a positive, right? Rather than labeling her as a B word or a C word or whatever other words you guys want to use. Trying to clean up my language here. But that is the key. And if you can do that, now you have power. You've taken back the power, your own power. Because if Coach Neil would have decided just to blame his wife and fight with her and argue with her, no, I'm not a bad guy, or whatever else it may be, he is effectively giving her the power, right? Rather than reclaiming it for himself and deciding, maybe I can take that on and look at that, and maybe that's something I can work on. So give that a shot in your life and see if it works for you. If you're interested in working with a coach like Coach Neil, go over to thepowerfulman.com and check out the website to see if it's a good fit for you. There's a short application. We don't take everybody, nor should we, or nor should you. But no matter what you do something, guys. Be one of the 1%. Step out there and leave the legacy. Your kids are watching, I'm telling you. Leave the legacy of the man that does the work. We'll see you next time on the TPM Show.